Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, considering that is 12:30 in UK. Welcome to a new episode of Spontaneous Stories, and what an episode today! Today, I'm very happy because it's a first-time episode. The first time that I am hosting a guest, and it's the first time that I'm hosting a very good friend. So we will talk about storytelling. We will talk about an int sustainability. Let's jump into the game very quickly. So my guest today is an award-winning director, producer, of course, storyteller, and the founder of a company STORO. But let's welcome my very good friend Riccardo Sai, that he will introduce himself and his company. Riccardo, welcome. Thank you very much to join
Hello.
me.
Thank,
Hello.
thank you, Riccardo. So it's always a bit strange to have the same name as another Riccardo. I don't actually know many Riccardo, but it's fun to be. So
Yes,
it's
true.
almost like having a twin.
Absolutely, absolutely. Riccardo, would you like to introduce your briefly? What is your background and spend some words about Storo? Sorry.
Yeah, well, no, quite rightly, it's a bit confusing because Storo sounds very similar to story. So first of all, I'm really excited to be here. I know we're using this new technology, so I'm like really intrigued to see uh, what's happening, and it's great to be a guest as well in your LinkedIn Live. A little bit about myself. I mean, clearly I'm Italian, and I've been living in London for the past 20 plus years. So quite not half of my life, but nearly there, nearly getting there. And my passion has always been stories, images, art, creativity, music, sound, etc., etc. So I've been doing that for a number of years. And since I was a child, really, so I had a big passion for story. And I remember that I used to tell stories with anything really, with pebbles, with miniatures, with Lego. I know we both love Legos, Playmobil, and um, and over the years, then I realized that I was so interested in stories that I wanted to find ways to capturing those stories, and so I've learned about photography, I learned about films. But even before that, I was so intrigued by comic books that I just thought that would be my career. And then further down the line, when it was time to go to university, I just thought I want to actually learn how to make films. So because I always loved music, and that's what I did. So I've learned how to study. I studied art. Music and film. And then I came more than 20 years ago to London to specialize in film and photography. And that's what I've been doing really for the last 20 plus years. Storo is a new chapter, and it's a company that I created. I had for a few years, but I rebranded and repurposed in quite recently, actually, in the last, I would say, maybe less than a year. And it's something between a creative company and a production company, and we focus on visual storytelling for change makers, impact brands, and any kind of organizations and brands with an interest in social impact and sustainability. And we do that in many different ways, but effectively what we do, we tell stories through images and sounds. Is that a good enough introduction, Riccardo?
Wow, it's an amazing introduction. It's a definitely, let's say, great introduction and packet of stories. It's quite interesting the fact that we don't just share a name, but we share a lot of starting passions. Because of course, when I was young, I'm still playing with actually,
Yeah.
but this is another story. But yeah, I was myself too very addicted to Lego, Playmobil, comics,
Uh-huh.
and um, and whatever. But then I end up to do, let's say, a completely different path that is in. So yeah, it's a definitely a great story and a great introduction. And I do remember that we shared. I mean, we met here in London, always talking about storytelling, and then together we went to event related to uh, storytelling and sustainability. And one of these events, I mean, there were many, the one event, but one of these events where we met the first time was related to the sustainability. And I do remember that we start looking around the different speakers that were at this event that were talking about the importance of um, the sustainability, the importance that companies needs to tell their stories, to tell them to bring their plans properly. And we were, I mean, as a storyteller, I am, let's say, storytelling coach. You have a great um, storytelling background, director, and you tell a lot of stories. And we were commenting. I do remember we were commenting the fact that everyone was talking about storytelling, but no one was telling stories. So and this is this sparked my idea to have you together today with me in this live that I'm running in LinkedIn, where I dig in an aspect of stories, because I think that the conversation that we have at the time was really like interesting, because we say yes, sustainability and bringing the message in this world that have a huge impact of the, I mean, a huge impact of climate change. We are not able to tell the right story, and companies are pushed to do tell stories, but then the narrative is lost. I think that there is a huge opportunity to bring this human side about the storytelling, and that's why I would like to ask you, because you are now working on this area within storytelling and sustainability. What about this conversation that we had, the power of storytelling in
Um, the power of story and sustainability. I agree with you, and I know we had this conversation before about the fact that, as David Attenborough says in one of his programs, is that the biggest challenge right now in when it comes to climate change is communication. So it is now a communication problem, sustainability and climate change, and I fully embrace that. And there's a lot of people who see things in a very similar ways. I mean, last week I was to a couple of events of marketing people and creatives with an interest in sustainability, and so it is quite refreshing to know that I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people, but there is not enough attention. And I think the main thing when it comes to brands is the fact that there's not really a conversation, and the people from sustainability and from the marketing department, they're not sitting around the same table. So the sustainability people, they are in a silo, and they it's all about data. It's all about collecting the right data, making sure that it ticks all the compliance in boxes, and the marketing people, they're just focusing on selling, and really kind of losing, I think, a big opportunity, because sustainability is an incredible storytelling opportunity. I think there's so many incredible stories, and the big story there, I do think, if you think about the pandemic, how the whole world gather around this big narrative, which is we need to save the world. If we don't save the world, if we don't save our
Yeah, I do remember everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, everything will go well. We will save the world." Everyone at the beginning of the pandemic was saying, "Oh, we will be better," but then something happened.
Yeah, exactly. But we had a purpose, which is a sort of it's a bit like one of those apocalyptic films where you know that you need to save humanity, and so we all kind of gather there because the the happy ending wasn't a happy ending anymore. There was an ending that was coming much closer to us. So with climate change is different, because we kind of see that things are changing. There's more hurricanes, there's more but a lot of time it happens quite far away from us, and I think that's the big problem, especially with the Western world. And I think that's the problem, because the stories are quite far away from us, and we don't see we don't see the impact that big narrative is having on our doorstep. And I think that's the challenge, but in a way we kind of need to re-engineer that. And how can we re-engineer that narrative? I think that's our role as well, as marketeers, as creative people, as storytellers, to really kind of drive a different change. Sorry, drive a different narrative about climate change, which is yes, apocalyptic, because things are definitely gloomy at the moment, but also instilling in people a sense of adventure, a sense of journey, a sense of that we are doing these things together, and it's very exciting. All of us are heroes of this new narrative. We are the heroes of this new journey and this new adventure. So I think that's the kind of narrative we need now.
Yeah, no, this is very interesting, the narrative that we need now. I mean, um, let me start, because you say two or three things that are very, very interesting. One thing is that you say that, first of all, probably we don't feel, I mean, the narrative today, we don't feel that we are really related to what's going on. I mean, if you see that a tornado is happening somewhere, or big rains, or something is get flooded, because it's not really touching us, the narrative, it's not connecting us. That is very, very connected to, I mean, one of the things that when you talk with an audience, you needed to make sure that the audience get it. So it's a really great point what you're making. And so you are saying, because this narrative, it's not working, because in the end, yeah, we see on the TV something happening, but in the end, every day for us is not touching us, so we not capturing. So we needed to change the narrative. Needed to make sure that change the hero of the narrative. We change the topic. Is it? This is what you are saying. I mean, in some way, we needed to make sure that the narrative, we relate much more of what's going on, right?
Yeah. And I think is just one thing that I wanted to share, perhaps, which is
Mm-hmm.
really around the power of stories, because this week I was producing a series of videos for a company that what they do, they bring ESG and sustainability workshops and programs into schools. So I had a chance to speak, interview lots of children and teachers and volunteers. So it's been a great experience overall. But what I was really moved by this experience was the characters that were in the story. So I mean, of course, my story was I was there to do to film and to create some contents around this project. But when I was there, I realized that there were so many incredible stories, and there was the story of the teacher who was in charge of this program, who was so deeply passionate about STEM education and about sustainability, that you could really tell that she had really profound, deep meaning and reason behind really supporting this project. There was the head teacher, and the head teacher was. I realized it was. I didn't know that she was an Olympic silver medalist, and the whole family is actually very high achievers, and
Lot of stories.
a lot of story. So her mission was to turn this school into something different, and she managed to do that. So she kind of treats the school as a sport competition almost, and so kind of really um, transmitting that kind of message about value, about ethos, about working hard. If you work hard, you're gonna get the results that you deserve. So that was a beautiful narrative. And then there was the narratives of the children. A lots of children from not very privileged families at all. Lots of asylum seekers, lots of people living in one-bedroom flats, who, nevertheless, they were achieving much higher grades than other schools in the same areas. So that to me was incredible. The fact that one child, for example, she didn't have the budget. Her family didn't have the budget to pay her for her piano lessons, so she decided to learn piano by herself using YouTube. So she really was a hero in itself. So the big obstacles that was the fact that she didn't have enough resources to finance a course like a music course, and but the fact that she really wanted to change something, and it was really moving. And also the fact that the the school also, they wanted to win an award, and so they had to write a proposal. So altogether, kind of reminded me as one of the Saving the Cat, which I know is a book that you know
Oh
as well.
yeah,
Type of a story model, which is the Golden Fleece type of model. So where a group of people, they have a goal, they need to travel somewhere, and together they want to achieve something and find something and resolve something. And that's exactly what I noticed on the school, because they wanted to win these computers. So they decided to work really hard to put together a proposal, and eventually they won. It was one of the few schools that won in the UK this award. So I think they got something like 10 or 20.
oh, so at the end they won. Okay, but when you were filming, you were collecting all these stories, or you were just, I mean, it's stories that you collected. That was like you were doing something else, and then you discover all of these rich stories in round.
Yeah, exactly. So my focus was slightly different, but while I was there talking to them, I've learned about all that, But that, the point I'm trying to make is that these stories are what made this school so successful that now is one of the top 3% schools in the UK, primary schools in the UK, so that sense of achievement, that sense of
I see.
journey and excitement and purpose, having a clear purpose, and really kind of that determination as well to change the narrative, is what actually had the results that it had, because they won the award and now they are in the three top percent schools in the UK. So I'm just sharing that because I think um, I was there to tell a different stories. And so some of these stories are not actually in the film that I'm making, but these stories are incredible, And my point is that a lot of time brands and organizations, they are actually sitting on these stories,
Hmm.
but they're not aware of these stories, And of course, to find this story, it takes time, and also you need to work with the right people as well, who try
No,
to
that's absolutely.
understand the storytelling.
Oh yeah, no, I understand what you say. I mean, definitely, let's say stories have the power. I mean, this is a real, let's say, touching. You touch the reality that stories can really make the story can really change, and when people go are together and they want to change, they can really make a change because they have a storytelling, because they together decided to change the narrative. They together have a power of stories on their behinds, and this is absolutely true. And basically I see how this is connected with global climate, and the sustainability. I see that the fact that companies needs to have a strong uh, narrative, a strong storytelling, but they have it. I think that every company that really want to make a change, really want to have a difference, they can they have their own stories, the story of the founder, the story of the people that work there, And this brings me to slightly change the focus because the storytelling means authenticity. Storytelling, and when a story is a real story, like the story that you mentioned about the school and the people that are working in the school, the teacher and the young girl that was looking to become like a piano player. But these are all true stories. These are all stories that are generated by the passion. A silver medalist or an Olympic medalist, definitely you get to the point because you have a passion. But all of this, it's like the story is like the mean that brings the passion and show your authenticity. Putting this at the company level, putting this at the company that really can have an impact. I think that this brings to me to talk about authenticity and all the company that are now today try to look like a green company, but they are not really a green company. And the other side, we have also company that maybe they are doing already a great job, but maybe they are not telling their story in the right way because they don't realize that there is a story. So, how, let's say, how the storytelling or the proper narrative, how you can, when you go in a company, you can find and tell and speak with them. You know what? You needed to be authentic. You needed to find the story of your employees. You needed to find the story of your founder to be very authentic and just don't look that you are greenwashing or whatever. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And yes, so should we talk a little bit about greenwashing and green hashing?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
Let's have a look to
yeah,
this
that's
this
always a good
topic.
topic. I like it. It's always a um I think just yesterday I was having a chat with a colleague, and we were talking about like a big project they've done with a company in Asia about really kind of helping them to find a purpose. So you can't really talk about sustainability if you don't actually do sustainability. If you do understand, but also has to be part of your DNA, has to be part of your purpose, your mission, and your actions as well. Because otherwise, if you're just pretending, then you're greenwashing. You're just saying something that you're not actually doing. So it's very, very important that before even you start talking about sustainability, you actually need to walk the talk and really kind of understand that and take some solid actions in that direction. So there's a lot of work that has to be done before. So of course, if a company doesn't care about sustainability, doesn't think climate change, global warming is a problem, that's a completely different story. And I'm not, it's very difficult to have a conversation with them. So let's assume that a company understand that um, sustainability is a priority these days. So it could be a company that their products or their services are around sustainability, and that's easier. So, for example, last year I produced a few films for a solar panel company, or I've produced films for Icebreaker or Smart Tool. So these are companies which are strongly their ethos and their operations, their products are around sustainability. So it's kind of a little bit more difficult to greenwash, if you are that kind of company. It gets a little bit more tricky if sustainability it is part of your operation, part of your products, but perhaps it's not like the core business. That gets a little bit more tricky. And that's where the greenwashing can be more challenging and more present in when it comes to communication. But I think the greenwashing dilemma and problems, it is really down to really it's about the values of the company. So, and I think a lot of companies actually they are driven by good values. If you look at their missions, a lot of them, if you read their statements, the mission statement, if you look at their website, they all like blowing on their horns, and they're doing some fantastic things, etc. So sustainability could be one of their pillars, which is great. For me, the thing is about sustainability is that you really have to understand, the sustainability has to be part of your DNA, and it can't be just the one film. If we're talking about
Hmm.
film, for example, that you do once every 5 years, or if we're
Hmm.
talking about ESG reports or impact reports, oh yes, we're gonna do a video with a CEO talking about how important is sustainability. That's good, but it's not enough. We
Yeah.
need, I
Can
believe,
I? Sorry,
sorry,
interrupting you because this
sorry
is a really, really putting me on the very a question. I mean, it could be possible theoretically that there is a company that they have a values. Maybe they care about the sustainability. I mean, the sustainability is not their main like target, but they do something and they care about sustainability. But then in the end, their message come out the wrong way because they are not leveraging on a proper way to craft the message, make sure that the story is authentic, is passionate. I mean, this is a kind of things that when I do storytelling, I always say, don't pick the story of someone else that you don't resonate. Always tell the story that resonate with you. Always tell the story. I mean, if you are the founder of this company and you are very I mean, you like very much, I don't know, sailing, tell a story related of the city. Try to make a connection between something that you are passionate about and your company, not just go in front of the camera because you have to do the video for the sustainability team. But I think that what you're saying is that there will maybe company that they really care about the sustainability, or like someone that really care about a message, but they are not able to tell the message properly. And that's where, I mean, the figure of the storytelling coach or the filmmaker that is working in this area can really help. I mean, sometimes people don't realize that uh, they are already doing what they are supposed to do, or they are already passionate, they are already the value, but they are not able to communicate properly. I think that this is a very good angle that you are putting on the table right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely. I do also think that we kind of have to move away from our communication style, focusing on the, it's almost like a tick
Hmm.
boxing type of operation where, yes, we're gonna do like a video for Christmas, like a TV commercial for Christmas that it wants everybody to feel good about what they're doing for the environment, etc., etc. I think we need to shift that and have a much more granular approach when it comes to sustainability storytelling. So the sustainability really becomes part of the marketing activities and the main communication channels. Pretty much 365 um, days a year. I mean, it doesn't mean that we need to talk about sustainability every day, but has to be always there, So because it's about, like what the
Hmm.
brands is doing for society and for the planet, which is huge, And I don't think there's a lot of attention in that. But also sustainability for me, it's about really um, engaging with the internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, bonding with them, creating that kind of honest communication, transparent communication. It's about creating loyalty, authenticity, and it's about integrity as well. So all these messages are so important, I think, these days, and a lot of companies relate to that, and that's why, when you're greenwashing, so basically you're breaking that kind of trust, you're breaking that kind of bond that you have with your employees and with your customers. That's when you're greenwashing, and it's very risky, because if you do that, if you break that kind of a relationship that you have been building through communication and through your product over the years, that's it. You can't get it back, or it's going to take years to get it back, So, and suddenly, you're changing the narrative, you're spreading fake news, you are lying to your customers, you're misleading your audience, you're making false promises, and you're breaking the trust. And that's very, very dangerous. And you're missing a big opportunity as well, I think.
That's a very interesting. That's a very important. That is all revolving about how proper communication can, I mean, the proper communication definitely can boost your reputation as a speaker, or you can boost your reputation as a professional. But also on the other side, I mean, every time as a storytelling coach, I say, oh yes, if you do this, if you go on the stage and you are passionate, you are authentic, well, you will be, everyone will be connected with you, you will be engaging, you will be compelling. But the point is, there is also the other side of the of the coin. That is, if you go on the stage and read the slide, talk in a very boring mode, or don't do what needs to, or are not authentic, tell a story that is not your story, and everyone has perceived that you are not authentic. I mean, on the other side, you lose reputation, and this is exactly what you're saying. I mean, this is a very interesting, because of course, if you are a company and your proper communication marketing plan, you are not like communicating properly your message, then you ruin your reputation, you ruin all the work that probably is done until that point. And then also, even though you have a good values, or you are very authentic or very passionate to make a positive impact, then it's very hard to go back and then remove your let's say, you know, you are labeled like greenwashing. And this brings me, because this time is running, and I would like just to touch a lot of things with you, but I would like just to, this brings me to one things that I would like to ask you. So when imagine that you are, imagine there is an imaginary company, no, the Acme Inc. That Will Coyote is the famous Will Coyote company, Acme Inc. You go in the Acme Inc. and then you are free to do and connect with any department. What will be your like first approach when you enter in a company and you have the mandate? Okay, STORO, Riccardo, your company, we are in your hands to build up a communication. We are in your hands to give the right suggestion and the right, let's say, like the 5 points or the 3 points, whatever it is, like a 3 or 5 points that you tell to them, we needed to look to this, and that we needed to follow. What are the,
And you're
basically,
talking
I know
about
the
like,
5 points. I mean, this is a little bit tricky question,
yeah.
but imagine that you are going in a company and say, well, okay, we are here. We would like to leverage on your experience. What we should do? And you say, I would like to talk with this person, and I would like just to see what are you. I mean, whatever you are doing.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, it's a long, it's a great question, but also very long to answer. So
Yeah,
let's see if I can
three
answer.
points.
I
Rule of
think
three. Find the 3 points that first three things that you do. Then we will do the other the other
25 or whatever.
11.
Um, uh, so I mean, I think like brands in general, they struggle to talk about sustainability. They don't necessarily have that kind of expertise, and if they're working with ad agencies and production companies, not necessarily they have that kind of experience, you know. So what I would try to do is to create a sort of a kind of internal, external type of team of people that can advise them on that, you know. And that's one of the things that I'm also doing around ESG reports. I'd like to work with brands who see ESG reports as an opportunity to create something much bigger than what it is, you know, which is not just a collection of data, but it is an analysis about what the company is doing in terms of sustainability. But there's some incredible data, and data actually are stories, or behind the data, there's stories, there's humans. Uh, what can we do with these data, you know? So I'd like to help these brands and organizations to turn those data into something that is exciting, you know, using some of the skills that I've learned as well over the years when it comes to advertising and creativity. And you know, there's so many incredible things that you can do with those data and with those reports, and really turn them into communication, powerful narratives, stories, and effectively treating them as campaigns, and I think that could be quite something quite interesting, so also like, so advising them on that, but independently, because I think that way you can really use a sort of a Hollywood type of approach, casting the right people that can really help those companies to tell those narratives in a different way, in a more authentic way, but also in a more innovative ways. And I think you can do that only if you have the right talents. But the talents that I have with my company not necessarily are the right ones for if I'm working for a different brands. So having that kind of a fresh approach, I think, would be really good. So this, in terms of operationally, what I would do. In terms of what can be done, is that answering your question, or so you
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to know a
I think it's a definitely answering to my question, and this is a first step. And I love the fact that you say, okay, let's see what we have. You start with the data. Let's see what you have, and then let's see what are the people that are in the company, and let's see. I mean, this is a very good. Now that I'm speaking, comes in my mind that it's a very. I mean, of course, data are important, and today everything is based on the data. But I love the fact that you say, let's go to the people, let's go to the employees, let's go to the, I mean, directors and whatever it is everyone that is
yeah,
working in a company, because in the end. Whatever the companies have a sustainability as a main goal, or is have another kind of product, but sustainability is today people care. I mean, I would like just to say that people care about the environment, people care about the climate, people care about, most probably, if I'm working for company X, I just pay attention if companies do something. So then I go to you go to speak with Riccardo and say, hey Riccardo, what do you think that the company is doing with their value? What do you think is companies doing with the sustainability, the climate change? Do you think that the company is doing well? So you start collecting from people feedback, and this is something that I found really really powerful approach, because it's not like asking ChatGPT, okay, can you craft me a narrative for company X? No, it's a very human. It's a very human approach. You collect from people that are in the company. If the company is doing something good, great narrative. Let's bring to the light. Fashion is authentic. The company can do something better. Let's make it operative way. The next step.
and
It's absolutely beautiful, and it's very connected to the storytelling. I mean, I
yeah,
always try
yeah,
to make back to the storytelling, but that's
yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
true.
But also I think there is the big narrative, which
Yeah,
is the the nature is not in a healthy situation right now.
yeah,
Uh, and that's mainly, I mean, has been proven by I think like 93% of the scientists around the world, that um, is because of humans' actions in the last century in particular. So that's the big narrative. But there's a different narrative as well, that, as I was saying before, this is an adventure. It is an adventure. So we all are pioneers. If you think about those films in the Wild West, we're here to do something, and we can do that together. So in a more granular way as individuals, but also as companies, we can do that. And companies that have really an incredible power, possibly even more than government, because they are structured in a way which is different than government. But there's so many incredible stories that can be told. I remember, like, I was producing some films a few months ago, and I was just in awe when I was like listening to the stories of these people, and it just really made me realize that you had the big narrative, you had the big story about climate change, you had the big story of what the company is doing when it comes to sustainability, but also there are also as relevant the small stories. For example, I'll give you an example. I was making one of the films that I was producing was about this warehouse, nothing very exciting, and one of the founders, actually, I think it was a family-run business, but we were focusing the film on, I think, the son of the founder of the company. And he talked about the usual thing, blah, 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 how they install solar panels in the company. And because the film was funded by a solar panel, of course, we had to talk about the solar panel, how financially it made sense, all the savings they made, etc., etc. And that's great. That's the story, that's what they need. That's what I got paid to do, and that's what the person that I was making the film about wanted to say. But then, when I was there listening to him, he started to talk about something that deeply affected me, which was the fact that he loved bees. So for him, the fact that he has solar panel on the top of his warehouse, it was important, but it was also very important that he had flower beds outside the factory, outside the warehouse, and that he had the same flower beds outside his house, because he was so moved by the fact that bees were suddenly coming in this industrial estate, which was full of concrete, and they were coming there to visit the flower beds that him wanted to have outside the factory. So to me, that's a very small story, but such a powerful story. And this is what I mean when it comes to like the the story is already there. You might not see it, but it's already there. And if you find it, it's like a nugget, and it can really open such a much bigger story. And it was,
Oh, that's
I was really moved when he shared that story. I was just like, it was a big man as well, a big
yeah.
man in the house with all these tractors and
And
everything.
didn't you try to convince him to create a story about this?
Yeah, I didn't ask him about the bees. He was the one who said, oh yeah, but I'm doing this for the bees as well. This is
Yeah.
why I'm doing that.
And
And a lot of people sometimes,
didn't you convince him to say, okay, let's do another shot to you talking about the bees, and let's try to find
yeah,
a message that connecting your passion with so it's not like the corporate message, but it's your message. I mean, I think this is so powerful.
absolutely, yeah. And it's and also a lot of people that I was interviewing when I was producing these films, they were talking about the future generation. So
Mm,
so that made me think about the fact that somehow, yes, it's okay to have heat pumps. It's great to have solar panels, but why are we doing all that? We're not doing that for the planet. I mean, yes, we are, of course, but we're doing that for your grandchildren. And
yeah.
when I was producing this film this week, and I was interviewing these young children, 11 years old, I was deeply moved when one of these children said, uh, when I've asked her about sustainability, she said, "Well, I think it's important that we learn about electric cars. We use Lego to build electric vehicles, blah blah blah. Because that was part of the activities that we were doing. But I think it's important for the future generation. Even her, an 11 years old young kid."
Was looking for
Said
the
that
future.
it's important for the future generation, and she is the future generation. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow. But it's because people want to relate something that is very difficult and very intangible to something that they can really touch with their hands. And that's the power of stories, I think.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. And I mean, I think that you are very lucky because in the end, your work brings you to connect with people and collect the amazing stories that sometimes comes outside the main work. And again, this brings me to the point that I think that we all, I put myself also in the game because also myself until I didn't really dig into my storytelling coaching was no. I mean, I was dividing the professional or everyday work or life from the story life, and I mean my stories or stories of other people's life, and instead is exactly what makes us human, what make us successful in the end is the passion. And then when the passion is when we recognize that our stories, our passion for the future generation all these things that you mentioned are with us. I mean, are part of us. That's the moment that things happen. So I'm just thinking the story that you told me about this company that want you to do some nice video about the technology, the solar panel, blah blah blah, and then completed the professional work. Then you have like the second part that is like, I mean, I don't want to, if we want to talk small talk or whatever. And then the person was talking about the flower bed, the bees. And in
Mm.
my mind, it comes to the fact, well, this is the real story. Story that, I mean, I think this is the story that in the end move people. Okay, yes, you are doing a great product, but why you are doing a great product? Well, I want to do a great product because I care about the bees, I care about the flowers. I'm really, let's say, scared about the fact that the bees cannot be around anymore. Or I have this big factory that is all concrete, and you know what? I want to make it more human. I
Yeah,
want the bees. I mean, I think the connection are powerful, and sometimes and I put myself into the game. We disconnect. We disconnect the professional everyday life from power of the.
yeah. But also, I think you need to allow those stories to flourish. And it's a bit like going to fish. I mean, I'm not really a fisherman, but I know that you want to
Fishing
fish something.
stories.
Yeah, you want to fish a particular fish, but perhaps you're not going to end up fishing that particular fish. So you never know what stories you might fish. But it's a bit like when you do documentaries. That the big challenge is really um the development of that of the documentary, and that takes a lot of time, because it takes a lot of meetings, a lot of conversation.
Oh
It's when
yeah.
those conversation that the stories comes, like unfortunately sometimes there's no budget to do that, so you kind of have to react to those stories and grab them when you can. But what you can do, you can build a storytelling culture within the company, uh, and a storytelling hub, so a sort of a task force with people like myself that can really help you to find those stories that can work alongside the marketing team, the sustainability team, and we can help you to find those stories and to craft those stories. Or we can talk to the marketing team and say, well, this is the kind of stories that you can tell and how you should do that, because I think there is an appetite for those stories. Adolescence, this new 4 parts series that's just been released, produced by.
Everyone is talking about this. Just today, I
Everybody's
was.
talking about, but I think it's such a great story, because it's a nitty gritty British drama, Uh, it's a horrible story in many different ways,
Yeah, yeah.
but there's an appetite for those stories, I think, but also there's an appetite for new innovative ways of telling stories, and so we talk about authenticity. It doesn't mean that we need to make documentaries all the time, we can also do music videos to talk about
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
sustainability. We can use all sorts of different styles, so it doesn't have to be something really depressing and serious, like and adolescence is a great example, because each of the 4 episodes was shot using one shot, so it's 4 shots, 4 films, sorry, four episodes and 4 shots, and that's great, and that it's one of the components that made this series go viral, because everybody was like, wow, I can't believe, how did they do that, is there a cutting point at some point, I don't know, I couldn't find it, maybe there is, but that's not the point, the point is that you can tell us stories, it could be any story really, but if you use a mise en scène that is more original, I think you have a better chance to really pierce through the heart and the imagination of so many people, I think. And
I,
it's
I,
about
I
time that we do that, I think, when it comes to sustainability. I think we're very behind when it comes to sustainability storytelling, I think. So we need to act quickly.
yeah. I see what I mean. Then and definitely, I think storytelling in a company world, a couple of like 10 years ago, it becomes a buzzword, and then now companies are pushing more or less more to have kind of more, especially for the people that are doing the keynotes speed or pitching to the company, they are trying to make more aware about the way that they can successfully. But at the global, I mean, at the company level, only the big companies for the moment just understand the power of a storytelling. And I would like to, I mean, we are running to the end of today,
We're,
but
we're
I
very
would like
chatty.
just, yeah, exactly, to the chat the end. But I would like to, before to I drop you to the final question that I promise
Oh, that's scary.
to you. I would like just to say that I think that do you think this is not the key question, but you raise a good point and about the budget. Do you think that that company really need a big budget to craft um, storytelling around the society?
Um, I think it's a
I know that is a tricky question, but my feeling is that company, first of all, they needed to find their why. I mean, I don't want to mention the great Simon Sinek, but the point is, I think they can do steps by themselves, like a recommendation. I mean, if we want to do a recommendation for the company, free recommendation for the company, find your why before story is coming. Find your why. I think. Do you think that is a it's a good already good starting step, or there is something more that they can do by themselves?
uh, well, yeah, they need to find their why, and they need to understand that they have a huge responsibility to towards society and the planet, and so brands have to really think about that they are not the center of the universe. So what they're doing is it's important, but it's even more important the type of products and the kind of effect, the impact that the products are offering to the world. And I think that's something that it kind of goes beyond my expertise, really, but in a way, in a society that has a lot of products, I think the role of marketing is not anymore the one of pushing people to buy things that they don't care.
Interesting. That's a very
Yeah.
good. That's interesting statement.
Yeah. Trying to force people to buy things and kind of faking almost like desires and instilling desires into people so that they think they need something which actually they don't need. I think we all need something to make us feel good about ourselves. So I think there is a place for luxury, for example.
Mm,
I think it is important, like but it can't be the only reason why you're selling a product, and I expect a sense of responsibility in what they're doing, So, and that's sustainability. I think it is about that as well. It's about really kind of taking responsibility again, to mention what I said before, for the future generation, and it's about not adding products to the planet, but really kind of taking responsibility for things that people need, and also thinking about the type of values that they stand for, and also how can they inspire people as well with their products. So, and I think that they have a role in that. And Patagonia is a great example. I know we always mention about them, but when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to communication, Patagonia is great, because there is that famous advert. Or Black Friday, I think a few years ago, saying that don't buy these products, So in a way, it's and that actually means that Patagonia outfits and garments are more expensive than others, So this is kind of proving the fact that people are willing to pay the extra a few pounds, if not much more than that, actually, because they believe in the values that the brands is standing for, and somehow connecting themselves with the values of the company, it makes them feel good, So in a way, they reflect their own story into the story of the company, and if a company can embrace that, a real change can happen, I think.
No, it's a very that's absolutely very good point. Okay, we are like 5 minutes to the hours, and I mean, I have my final question. I mean, was not really a final question. Was the chit chat point very related to the storytelling? But we have 5 minutes, so I would like just to drop it anyhow. I cannot resist. Um, in the few months, you dropped in LinkedIn a few posts, and there were this post about the picture about Murdillo that really hit me because they I would like just to look them into the storytelling and interpretation point. And I love very much the fact that I mean you as a film director bring to me this thinking, and maybe this is not really a question, but the one picture, the one things that I see, and the story that I can tell about this picture, this that I see, it's a different from the story that you can tell or you can see into the same picture. And I was reflecting to the fact that the we can tell the same story.
Yeah.
You to Riccardo, we have the same name. We can tell probably the same story of one same event that we witness, but probably our story will be different. And I don't know. I mean, this is not really again a question, but what does it really means for you telling a story that move people? Imagine that you are looking to one of these picture of Mortillo, and then you say, I would like to tell few lines that move people about this. What is the first things that is a very technical question. So I don't want you to tell a story, but I want you just to say, I look at picture, and the first things that I look for into the picture is, I don't know, the context, the hero, the message, the whatever.
Yeah, well, I think when I look at a film or an image or an illustration or a photo, I mean, Roland Barthes actually talked about that in one of his most famous book. I think it was called Camera Lucida or Camera Chiara in Italian. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember exactly, but anyway, he talks about punctum, which is a Latin
Mm-hmm.
word, and the punctum is that kind of element in a photo that can open a whole universe in the image. And he talks
Mm-hmm.
about a few different images from the past, but I always to me it was always an incredible things to focus on. So something in the image, and it could be in a film, could be
Mm-hmm.
in an art piece, could be in a music, something that somehow it's almost like you have different layers, I think, in stories. So you have one narrative. So the hero has to go from one place to another one. There's a series of obstacles. It has to go through the forest.
Mm-hmm.
There's the antagonist, blah, 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 blah. But then there's another story, which is the inner transformation of the hero. And what about all the other characters in the stories? You can
Mm-hmm.
tell the same story from different perspective. And there's a few films around that, which I absolutely love. The fact that you can tell the same story from different perspectives. So what I'm trying to say is that the most effective stories, the most effective form of art are the ones that somehow they have on the surface they tell one story, but actually if you look at them again, if you read them again, if you
Mm-hmm.
experience them again, if you watch them again, there's a different story. And there's a different story because you are different at that particular
Mm-hmm.
time. Your life experience is different. But it's because that story has been crafted, thinking about that punctum. So punctum means a point. It's literally like something there. And my mom, to quote her, she always say that the best films that she sees are the ones that she dreams at night. So I think that's um
Mm-hmm.
the real power of stories. Are the stories that you think they tell you one story, but actually they open a whole universe. And when you see them again, or when you read them again, when you watch them again, somehow they tell you different stories. How
So
to
the
do that?
punctum is the point basically where you can see different, you can see different meaning, see
Yeah. So it's a bit, so commercially speaking, of course, brands, they want to have one narrative, they want to have one story, and I
Yeah.
totally get that. Like art is more than that. It's just one story. It's different interpretations. So, but I do think we can do that. Even in commercials. And these are a lot of Christmas ads are going in that directions. They sell Coca-Cola new bottles, but also they inspire people. And every time you watch the ad, you think about and you feel something different. These to me are the most effective type of advertising, that the most effective type of stories. Very difficult to craft, but I think the world needs more of this kind of stories. Because that's effectively how you can drive change and inspire action. And I think we need to do a lot of that right now.
Wow, fantastic. Wow, I love very much this is the way that you can drive action and inspire action.
Yeah.
It's a great way to a call to action, CTA. Great way to close today, and we are exactly 1 hour on point. So I mean,
Wow.
I'm so happy because it was a so nice conversation, even in English. It's quite interesting that the two Italians are talking all the time in English, and with our beautiful accent. I mean, someone told me that is a beautiful
Of
accent.
course.
I'm not telling to me, but yeah, I'm so happy that Riccardo, you joined me today. It was
Thank you.
a very nice conversation. I saw some people from time to time joining and dropping. No message coming to the chat, but I have to say that also I didn't invite people to chat. But this conversation, this live conversation, completely authentic and live conversation, it's also recorded. At the end of this video live, in a few minutes, LinkedIn will pack the recording and make it available for everyone. So if you have no time, if you have no had time to follow all the conversation, we want to jump just in a key moment of the conversation, just reconnecting LinkedIn. There is the same video going available also in YouTube. I needed to cut a little bit the preparation, so it will be in a few minutes, 10-15 minutes, available also in a YouTube platform. For who is still with us, Riccardo Sai, STORO, you can find in the web. You can just type STORO, and STORO is coming out. I have already done a test.
Is the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find also on LinkedIn. We will share the link into the LinkedIn chat, and then we will share the link also into the YouTube, just in case you didn't capture it. Say that again, Riccardo, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate your time with me.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's time
Thank you.
for my relaxing beach closing video. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you next Thursday. Thank you, Riccardo.
Thank you so
Ciao.
much, Riccardo. Ciao. Bye
Ciao, a
bye.
presto.
Bye. Bye. Bye.